this week's episode of Everything Went Black. Please welcome Rick Habeeb of Gray Skies Fallen and Reeking Aura. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and for one reason or another, schedules, etc., we weren't able to line it up until now. We discussed Molded by Broken Hands, a record by Gray Skies Fallen, which came out on Profound Lore earlier this year, as well as Reeking Aura stuff, and a bunch of other things. If you're listening to this, you know that I am part of a elite group of content creators known as the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse. Kicking things off every other Monday, Brandon Legion brings us Horror Wolf 666. Up next in the rotation on Tuesday is Jackie Smith's Into the Necrosphere. Wednesday, you get a double shot, of course, with Everything Went Black and Iblis Manifestations, brought to you by Cheyenne of the great band Trivax. Thursday is also another double shot. I come back with Necromaniacs alongside Mike Scandato and Jeff Kashid, and Day 1 of Soul Knox, brought to you by Carl Hikara, airs. Friday, we have Spitball Media featuring Mike Scandato's brother, John Draper. Saturday is a day off. But Sunday, Carl Hikara comes back with Day 2 of Soul Knox. Carl and I have been into doing this Darkness Weaves collaboration where we discuss the work of Carl Edward Wagner. Recently, we also did another episode of Eldritch Tales where we talk about The Salal by Thomas Ligotti. And that's it, man. Yeah, we got you covered all days of the week, with even a day off on Saturday. If you dig this podcast, definitely share it with your friends. Give us a review. And if you really want to step things up, join the Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to bonus content. For $5 a month, you get bonus content plus early access to the shows. That is, whenever there is early access. Sometimes the schedule gets away from me and the episode comes out the day before it airs, but be that as it may, you can still get early access. And for $25 a month, you can become a sponsor. Rick, thanks for coming on. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and our schedules are what they are, but now I finally got you on the show, so welcome.
Hey man, haven't seen you in a bit, so it's good to see you again, and thank you for having me on your show.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I feel like I was out a lot in the early part of this year. And then ever since we got back from that Profanatica tour, I feel like I haven't left my house. It's like
things get busy.
Yeah. And it's like I know that you guys, both bands, Reeking Aura and Gray Skies Fallen, have been fairly active over the last few months. So Reek, I'm not sure. Did you guys play that Jersey? You were supposed to play the Jersey Death Fest, right?
That's tomorrow. For by the time this comes out, it'll be finished. But for recording wise, we're playing that show 3:30 p.m. tomorrow. So under 24 hours.
Oh, cool! Right on.
Get ready to after the interview tonight, I'm gonna rip through the set maybe 3 times on guitar, get nice and ready, and should be good to go.
Definitely want to talk about Reek, but a few months ago, the new Gray Skies Fallen record came out, and that I was hoping to get us on to do an episode before that, but like I said, time just gets away from us sometimes.
Hell yeah!
So this year you're gonna have 2 records out. Is that the plan, or
it was the plan? Like we had planned to have the Reeking album out, the second one out this year, but I would love to be recording now by the end of this year. That the goal kind of shifted. We've had some lineup issues, and so we had to redo some things, like basically start a new record from scratch, and so we're about halfway done with that now. So I figure maybe another 3-4 months we'll be ready. So that got pushed back a little bit, but I could still see the Reeking record coming out spring of next year.
Okay,
that's the goal. So not too far apart.
Yeah, because I know, like you and I, like when we first started talking about it, it was like, oh yeah, there's two records working on, and both on
Mhm.
Profound Lore, which is a fine label. But yeah, with Gray Skies Fallen, I didn't realize you guys had been around since like the late '90s, man.
Yeah, it's crazy to yeah. When you think about time, man, sitting here thinking about that. Excuse me, we changed the name to Gray Skies Fallen in February of '97. So we had been basically we started in, I would say, late '95, and that's when we really just started getting together. Maybe late '95. Also, we had the name Eve of Morning. That was the name we were going by, and then one day, actually, we did a demo in '96 with under that band name. Not a good demo. It's on YouTube. Someone put it on YouTube. It's humble beginnings, and uh, I got an email in February of '97, right around Valentine's Day, and it was an email in 1997. So we're going back, and he says, "Oh, I'm in a band Eve of Morning out of Chicago, and you guys have our name." I was like, "Oh
Oh
shit."
man.
Yeah, because at a drummer we were jamming with for a short period of time, he had suggested that name, and we are like, "Oh, that's a cool name." And I never knew about that band, so immediately changed the name, and that was February '97. So we just recently passed our 25-year anniversary of Gray Skies Fallen, and it's kind of surreal to think about. Yeah,
Yeah, time. It's like, even with Tombs, like we started in like 2007, 2008, and it seems just like, oh yeah, the band's been around for like 4 years, or something like that.
sure.
Then you look at it and it's like,
Yep.
makes you feel old, you know what I'm saying?
I'm getting to that point now, especially in Reeking Aura when I got guys in my band half my age, so that's getting a little interesting now.
You guys, most of the current lineup of Gray Skies was also in Buckshot Facelift too, right?
No, oh, actually, yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So there's four of us now, and three of us are in Buckshot Facelifts. You have Sal, the drummer, who's been in Gray Sky since right after we recorded our first album. So he came in late '98. We recorded that first album in early to mid '98. He kind of jumped on board right after the recording. So he's been there the whole time, and he had Sal had started jamming with Buckshot maybe around 2005 or six. And Sal he always kept his side bands kind of separate and private, and he always thought like we would get mad at him or whatever. Okay, whatever, man. But not that's not what would have happened. But a couple of those bands were really, really something else. I got to tell you, something else, quality wise. Sal, he had some good. I don't know. They were not good bands. And finally,
That's
and finally he joins Buckshot. And it was, oh, my other band Buckshot. I only do it for fun, just to get my chops up. And this, I'm like, Sal, what? Who are these guys? I never met them or anything. It was like a separate thing. And there might have been a party at Sal's house, like 2009 or 2008 or something. And I had met those guys, like, hey, what's up? Oh, you're the other guys. Oh, all right, and what's up, guys? And that was it. And we finally hooked up around 2012. And Tom, who was the bass player of Buckshot, joined. I joined Buckshot. I was trying to like, it was something in Gray Skies around that time. It wasn't happening too much, and Sal was kind of. I was like, let me do something with somebody else for a little while, and I joined a band with Sal in it. So that doesn't make that doesn't make much sense, but that's how I work sometimes. So I joined Buckshot, and Tom joined Gray Skies at the time. So we had So to answer your in a long-winded answer, yes, three-fourths of the band is in Buckshot. Just like
yeah,
Reeking Aura was four of us were in Buckshot at the time at one point.
yeah. There's like this really cool like group of bands from like the greater New York area. You know what I mean? That are like you guys, Reeking Aura, Gray Skies Fallen, Buckshot Facelift, Evoking.
Oh
You
hell
know,
yeah, yeah.
and I feel like there's just like this kind of vibe with all those bands, for me from being kind of more on the outside looking in, you know what I mean? And it's like, I always know that if any of you guys are doing something, it's going to be interesting to me. Either it's going to be like brutal or just like that kind of somber, heavy, emotional thing that Gray Skies and Evoken kind of do. You know what I mean? It's like this real interesting sort of appreciation for both sides of the coin. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I could see that. We cover all bases in certain ways. Speaking of evoking, I've known John since man, I'm 48 now. I've known John since I was 5. You know,
Wow.
so yeah, we lost touch for a couple years. But we've always kind of ran in the metal circles, so we would bump into each other here and there. And right when Gray Sky started, maybe a couple of years later, we started jamming in a studio called Future Star in Staten Island, and Evoking would jam there, and that's kind of how we kind of got rekindled, bumping into each other there back in the late '90s. And John's a good guy, and we played. We were supposed to play with you guys in
Yeah,
Staten Island, and that was a really good show at this place that I think they only had one show there before they closed down. It was like
dude.
one of those spots, you know what I mean?
Well, that was
Really
I had
nice
gotten
place.
it was during the COVID days, man.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was November of 21.
Yeah,
So it
because
was
I
still
had I
bordering
had
there. Yeah.
yeah, because I had COVID. That's why we had to
That's
cancel the
right.
show.
That's
Yeah,
right. Yep.
yeah. Yeah,
And
there was yeah, it was that was rough, dude, because like, you come out of that whole period of time and not doing shows, and it's like you're real keen to do this thing. And then I was still testing positive at the time of that show. So I couldn't, in good faith, I couldn't go out there and do that.
right.
Then like 2 weeks later, we played with Nuclear Assault and I was negative,
It's awesome.
but I was accused of infecting somebody at that show. But I'm going to go to the mats and say that I had nothing to do with me. You know what I
It's
mean?
so if you just look back at those times now, it's kind of surreal, right? Crazy,
Dude,
crazy few years and kind of sidetracked everything.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely, at least from my perspective, as much as I hate to admit it, there's definitely a before and after, man. It's like things feel different now, for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Even though I want it not to be that way, it still feels like there are things that, you know, were never realized as a result of that break. Like there was certain progress that was never made in certain things that just, died on the vine or whatever,
Right.
that just never really got realized. But now we're in a different era and that's
Yeah.
cool. Now it's time to do other things.
That's right.
But so with the latest record, you guys had that video that came out. And it's like, well, what's the name of the song?
We've done a few videos for the album. There was a couple. There was knowing that you're there. That was the lead single.
It,
Then we did one for good lord.
the one with the animated one.
The Cracks in Time.
Yeah.
There was two animated ones. It was knowing that you're there was with the that was like the doomier song, and that was the last song on the album. And then Cracks in Time was the more melodic death metal one. And then there was a live one we did, like a live kind of old school music video.
Yeah, the animation is awesome, man. And like the just even the whole concept of making videos is not something a lot of bands are comfortable with too.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky that our old keyboard player, Craig Rossi, he was in the band from 90, almost the very beginning to 2015. And he's always had a knack for that kind of thing, even in the camcorder days, like holding the VHS camcorder, like he would do cool things with it, and he always had like the mind for it, for film and shit like that. So over time, as technology gets better, he learned how to do this stuff and edit and manipulate still images is what kind of like he'll animate a still image, and he'll do some cool things with on a shoestring budget, and stuff that was 10 years ago you couldn't do that. on a small budget. Like you couldn't get a cool animated video for your band in 2 weeks from, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even technology is amazing in certain ways, and things are growing in leaps and bounds. But yeah, he's really helped us out. Did those two animated videos, and yeah, Craig's also he's got a band called Drift into Black, and they're based out of Jersey, and he does these videos for them too, obviously for his own band, and they're all cool. Yeah,
I got to check that out. The one that I'm thinking of is Knowing That You're There. That's
right.
the one
That was the
that I
lead
was,
single. Yep.
yeah, that was the one I was checking out. You know, and the thing that's interesting is that um, the kind of emotional sort of the way that Gray Skies embraces like the emotional side of songwriting, and it seems like very personal. So, are the lyrics personal? Like, is it coming from a personal approach?
Um, yeah, yeah, mostly. This particular song, um, not really. This one was kind of like a little story about um a guy, or somebody going through rough times, and just having somebody there for them at, that's basically all it was. And something simple like that. And I think if you get down to stuff like that, it could pack a punch emotionally. Just put yourself in position of somebody going through things, and maybe you don't have much going for you or anybody on your side or whatever, and things can get really bad. So it's good to have somebody around, to help you out if you need. That's basically the point of that song.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I got out of it. And the video definitely complemented the sort of sentiments like in that song.
Mhm.
So recording wise, you guys record locally or you go away, or what's the deal with that?
Well, this album, the new album, it was the first album we did with Colin Marston. So
Oh,
we
okay.
we did we recorded with Colin, and we mixed and we mastered with Dan Swano.
Oh, okay.
She's done our last two albums. Prior to the records with Colin, we would record with our friend Keith Moore. Keith has a studio up in Kinderhook, in New York, which is by Albany, and we were with Keith for years. And actually, we're recording a couple songs right now, that I'm going up to do vocals for on Monday, and that's also with Keith. So we're back with Keith right now, doing some fun things. EP, shall we say? Well, I'll talk about it, but yeah. So we recorded the new album with Collins, so that was Queens, and he's no longer open. He's I don't know if the situation, if he's looking for a new, there was a situation with the building, I believe, so he had to go. I think he's looking for a new place. I don't want to speak out of school, but
Oh
I
man.
believe that I
Yeah.
believe that's the situation. It's unfortunate because that, studio's pretty legendary, and but I'm sure if he finds another spot, it'll sound just as awesome. And the guy's the man, so I'm not sure. He's busy with Crowlers too right now.
Yeah.
They're going on tour. They're coming around a couple weeks, I think. I gotta have to go see that because there's so many shows going on, and I definitely want to see them live.
Yeah,
Um,
Krause is awesome. Colin's a good guy.
yeah,
Mick's a really good guy. Lev, like all those dudes are really cool. Man, I'm sorry to hear that about his spot. And that
yeah, I
that
think it's a
actually,
well-known thing. It's not a secret or anything, but I'm not sure what he's like, if he's pursuing a new spot as we speak, or I don't know the situation there. I don't know if he's taking his time or whatever, but I think it was a thing he was prepared for. So it wasn't like a you
do
know
you know Bobby Torres? Do you know him? I know that you know Ben because Ben Karras was
right.
played strings. Ben works with Bobby
Okay.
at the studio, and the same similar thing happened to his studio up in Clifton, New Jersey.
Mm,
And he's one day I guess the owner's like, I'm selling the building, you got to get out or something
maybe
like that. I
that's
was
what
like,
happened. you
rough,
know.
man.
And actually, now that you mentioned Bobby Torres and Ben, since they have a, because Craig Rossi, the guy who did our old keyboard player and Drift into Black, now I think Bobby Torres, he was mentioning Bobby Torres and ringing a bell right now, is mixing his albums. So maybe he did one or two of the Drift into Black albums. Now that because Craig introduced me to Ben, because Ben played on a couple of Craig's tracks on his like Craig Drift into Black puts records out like every year. So I lose track of like what album was Ben on. Was that 2 albums ago or
I
But
got to check that out, man. It sounds interesting. Drift into
yeah, they
Black.
Drift into Black. They just put a new record out like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago on Black Lion Records. I think I'm not sure what country that's based
Oh,
out
here
of.
we go.
Sweden.
Yeah, just found it.
Yeah,
Yo,
that's
it's got
him.
quite a bit of material out there. It's pretty good.
He's started up right when we split. He split with Gray Skies, so maybe 2016, 2017. He started putting out material with that band, and you could see the progression of it over the years from just like a I don't want to say like a bedroom kind of like not great produced sounding like demo stage to now like his records sound awesome, so it's cool to see.
Do you do any home recording at all? Like even just demos or
Just
something
for
like that?
demos, like I never learned how to. I don't have the mentality of a drummer, so making drum tracks is extremely intimidating for me. Like I see like my guitar player Joe and Craig and Hudson, who's in Reeking Aura, he's our drummer Rico. But guys that know how to have the mentality for that and they can program the drums. Like I would be much more prolific if I just learned how to program drums and I could just write songs on a just two beats and stuff like that. I find that easier, but that's my obstacle. So if I'll write to a click and I'll write riffs to a click and basically I'll just have riffs and then I'll send them off to a guy that like one of the guys in my band that can program drums for this, and then that's how we demo stuff. And um, that's about the extent of my home recording abilities.
Yeah, it's good just to be able to put those ideas down though. Just even to
Yeah,
have these days, you don't have to fire up your amplifier. You can just plug into a computer and
headphones or
stuff.
computer, monitors, anything, and it's great. You got I have a software that emulates my amp, so it kind of sounds like my amp. So it's pretty
Dude,
cool.
that technology is insane these days. Is all the amp modelers because
Yeah.
I do quite a bit of like demo stuff here, and I use this program called Easy Drummer, which is
Mm,
like it actually it sounds like I know what I'm doing when I make the tracks, but I
mm,
still have no idea how to really program drums. But it has like you put the tempo in with the click track, and you drag and drop like you want a blast beat or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever breakdowns, like bridges and things like that. And you
mm.
just kind of mix and match them, and you can cut them to like be half a measure or whatever, fills, like that sort of thing. But for me, I can't go in and modify things so much. So all my drum tracks kind of sound the same. Like if I played you the demos for our record that we're working on, all the blast beats are identical. Like it's
Right.
no variation at
That would
all.
be like
So
how my stuff would
yeah,
be
yeah.
if I
So
learned how to do it. Exactly. Just the bare minimum
yeah,
to get the point across. Okay, I want a blast beat here, or I
yeah.
want this something here.
So like just maybe the tempos change a little bit, but it just to get your ideas out there, it's a lot of fun. And then you kind of like, okay, cool. And you're more motivated to like be, oh, I'm gonna spend some hours today working on material, and you have like these play around with these ideas. And then by the time my drummer gets it though, he changes everything anyway. So it doesn't
Right.
sound remotely like what I did, but the riffs are the
Yeah.
same, you
Yep.
know, because he actually knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
So
he'll take what you have and keep the riffs, keep the spacing the same, so you can do your play your riffs and let him go crazy and do some sick shit on drums.
so
That's what I learned.
you kind of hinted at the fact that you guys are working on another EP now, right?
Yeah, this is just a quick, just going back to our 25th anniversary of our first record. That came out in March of '99. That was, if you recall, the March Metal Meltdown they had at Asbury Park.
Dude,
We played that, and that was the day. That Friday is when we released our album. Like it was, we did it ourselves, and that was the day. And Don Decker from Anal Blast, he signed us and put us and re-released that album. And That's how we got all those metal fests from that awesome man who is no longer with us. But I held him in reverence because up until last year or so, nobody gave us a chance in anything. So I respect him for that. And so yeah, the EP is just going to be two songs from we're re-recording two songs from that album.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Right. So it's which something we've never done before. It's we're doing the song called The Purest Form, and which was like the song that people know from that album. And it was on compilations back in the day. It was on a Pit magazine compilation. It was on a few things. And we're doing this other one called Athena. So they're going to be a little different. Not Athena's a lot different than the original, but it's in a modern style how we sound now. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be good. I'm like I said, I'm going up to do vocals on Monday and get that finished and get that out. It's gonna be a digital release.
That's interesting, man. It's like sometimes it's cool to go back and revisit uh older songs and re-record them. Like we actually did that with Path of Totality. Like we did a different version of that song
It's
that
fun,
came out. Yeah, it is, man. It's like 'cause we play it differently. I mean, you have a song that's like what 10 years old at least, and
right?
you're playing it live for a decade, and things change from when you wrote it the first time, and then
Most
you go out,
definitely.
yeah, you play hundreds of shows, and then you notice that I like playing it this way instead, or I might sing it differently, and then so yeah, so there's like the newer versions of these songs are like updated in some ways. You know what I mean?
Well, when this comes out, if people listening can remember, you when the EP comes out, the two-song EP, check out the original version of Athena from '98. Then check out on YouTube. There's a show that we played at Vitus in 2022. That song is in there, and you can tell it's a way evolved from the original. And then check out the new version, which is even evolved from that. So even 2 years ago, it sounded different. And that song's 25 years, 26 years old now. Both of these songs.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
they are gonna change over time. I can't believe it's 21 years old, right? And that's those songs. It's kind of mind blowing. You know.
yeah, totally, dude. It's like time just seems to be slipping away at certain days, but it's it is
It's
it's still
reality.
pretty awesome though to have that kind of history, that sort of catalog too. I mean, that's another respectable thing about being around for this long is
And
that
that's why I try to keep it together. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
no, dude, that's like when you think about it, it's like bands. I'm gonna revise that statement a little bit. In the world that you and I operate in, I feel like bands stay together for a long time. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, there's like
Yeah.
this kind of longevity that bands seem to have. But then again, there are bands that exist for like 4 years and that's it. Or there's that crucial period of their life that of their career that's like excellent for 4 years, and then the remaining years are this like slow decline into like mediocrity. But like bands like Gray Skies, Evoking. I feel like even the last, I always group you guys together. I apologize for that, but like in my mind, like there's like this two band vibe that's happening in like Jersey and Staten Island. That's like this kind of this atmosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm like, both of those bands, like your catalog is so extensive, yet each record has like makes its
Mm,
own sort of statement. You know what I mean? And
totally
the
agree.
the quality has like stayed pretty much top notch from like the beginning. I mean, the earlier stuff obviously was like newer band sort of growing pains, but it's not like you hit like this peak and then you're just reproducing stuff, which a lot of even successful bands do that. I'm not going to name any names, but there are
Right.
bands I listen to that their peak was like 15 years ago. I'll still buy their new album, but it's not what it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally hear that, man. And I think, you got to catch lightning in a bottle. It's you're talking about four or five guys that have to be clicking at the same time. You said like there could be a small window of 4 years or whatever. Like that might be the only 4 years that those guys can do that together. And after that, there might be this guy has this problem and this guy has this family problem, and then concentration and dedication kind of goes away. So in our band, you have me and Sal that have been this consistent steadies the whole time. I look at Sal kind of is, even though he's not original member, he's pretty much been here for 25 years. So you need somebody that for the longevity. We've had guys come in and out of the band multiple times, and doors always open as long as you don't do something egregious. You know what I mean? So, uh, you know, you just need kind of that steady backbone, and then you got to adapt with what comes thrown your way in order to stay around. You know what I'm saying? Like you just got to adapt to
Yeah,
things.
yeah, definitely. I mean, even like in my own experience, it's like you know, e the bit Toombs has gone through so many changes over the years,
Mhm.
and like we've had members who live out of state. We had one guy who lived like upstate New York, Massachusetts, and I guess like the biggest transition for me was like going from a band that we got together 4 times a week. We all lived
Right.
like just blocks away from each other in our practice space, and now it's like you got to coordinate it around everyone's
Oh,
lives. And
oh
now
yeah,
yeah, now everyone lives in Jersey now, but like one
yeah.
guy lives in South Jersey, one guy, our practice space is like an hour away from me right now, maybe 45 minutes away. So we don't get together like, you know, 3 or 4 days a week, you know what I mean? And a lot of it's done like remotely where like we'll work on material. So that adapting aspect of it is like part of the growth and modernization. And then as everyone gets older and has lives and kids and all this stuff, it's like you can still keep the band going where maybe you don't have that same schedule that you had in the very beginning, you know?
Yeah, I mean, back when this band first started in Staten Island, we all lived in Staten Island, and it
Yeah.
was like my father had a he owned he actually owned a strip mall for a while, and he owned it when there was nothing going on the street. It was abandoned, and there was a strip mall, and he owned it 30 years ago, and he sold it, and now of course it's jam packed area, buildings worth 15 times, but that's a whole different story. But so we had this storefront that we could go. It used to be a pool hall, and it was two stores, and we wrote our first album. He let us. That was our studio, like 24/7 access. There was a bar right next door, and we would just go and hey, can you jam? Yeah, let's go. Jump in the car and go.
Yeah.
And we would jam 3-4 times a week with how crazy stuff. And of course that's not gonna ever stay like that. And now only one of us is in Staten Island, and that's our guitar player Joe. I'm in Pennsylvania.
You're in Pennsylvania. Wow, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. Sal's in Suffolk County, Long Island, and Tom is in New Jersey. So we're all over the three different states. So we like you were discussing with Will the other on the last show you when we had Will on. We kind of make Jersey the hub. We meet in the middle. Everybody meets in the middle. As far as me, like I accepted when I moved out here to Pennsylvania. I'm only I say I'm an hour and 45, hour and a half away from everything. So I accepted that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna move up here to peace and quiet, but I'm gonna have to drive hours and hours every time I want to go jam, and I just accepted that, and that's part of the deal. So it's cool with me. I listen to your podcast in the car, tons of
Oh, cool.
podcasts in the car. You know what I mean? So it's like entertainment when I drive.
Yeah, that's kind of the way of the world, man. It's like uh even like a few years ago when I was still living in Brooklyn, our practice space was out here in Jersey, and I'm just used to driving like an hour to get anywhere these days. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like an hour is like okay. But
Yeah.
Long Island feels like you're in another country sometimes because of how long and difficult it is to get back and forth between Long Island and like, Jersey and, even
Yeah. If you got
parts
to
of New
take the
York.
Belt Parkway, forget it. If you got to take the Belt, you're done. Or go through Staten Island to go to Jersey. So, like, I feel Will's pain, but he said he has a way of getting around the city. He doesn't go through the city when he goes to where we practice in Jersey. So that makes things a little better. I would love to have uh, a monthly room to jam with all the bands, but that's hard to negotiate. Um, we've had Gray Skies has had like 5 rooms over the years, and we just gave up. I was like, these aren't going to work for whatever reason, and but that's the kind of thing where if you had a home base that you can just, all right, schedule everything for the next month. Everybody's got it on their calendars, and you just show up there, and you don't have to worry about the clock as far as studio time. And that's what I'm trying to get that going now.
Yeah,
See how lucky I am.
that's a rough hustle, man. The
It
hourly
is.
spots, and that's like
Yeah.
I don't that's like a New York thing, man. Like I don't really know other cities, maybe LA that has like hourly spots like that.
Mhm.
But that's such a hustle, man. And I've done that as well. And yeah, it's a rough
It
thing to
sucks,
do.
man. Because if you like we're coming from all over the place. So on a weekend. So if you're a Long Island guy who shows up 45 minutes late and a 3 hour practice, that's 1 hour gone that you're paid for. So you got to rush for 2 hours. It's just stressful. I like to have no stress when I jam. You know what I mean? I like to go there and I like to just chill and have a good time. But
Yeah.
sometimes the studio we jam at now, Smacktone in New Jersey, they're good. They don't pressure you to get out of the room or this and that, and they have good facilities. So we're happy about that.
Well, that's the other thing too, man. It's like, the rooms with the gear and like, the gear is maintained the right way. And,
Right.
it's always like something. But Molded by Broken Hands is like, we were talking about longevity in the band and the catalog and everything. You know, when you sent me these tracks a long time ago. So I've been, you know, listening to them quite a bit. And, it doesn't sound like a band that's been around this long, if you know what I mean. It doesn't have that like, okay, guys, it's time to like strap it on again and
Right.
make another record. It sounds like it still has like a sort of immediacy to it. It doesn't feel like, all right, man, this is like our 10th album. It feels like fresh, for
Because
lack of a better term.
I'm still hungry. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
band is still hungry. Like we want. I mean, okay, getting back to the Metal Fest days. I was 22 years old, 21. Playing with Opeth.
Yeah, man.
Playing with Catatoni right before them. Using my gear, and I'm not saying the trajectory was going to be the same, of course, but when you're that young and you're already with these guys, are you're on, you're playing with them and stuff, and then it doesn't happen for 20 years later. You want it again, right? So I'm trying to put good material out so that somebody will say, hey, do you guys want to play this fest? Yes, we do. If it's a good opportunity, fuck yeah. And so I'm a little I don't want to get all crazy and sound like the bitter man, but I'm a little uh, curious as to why that hasn't occurred. We've put our best foot forward. I feel in the last 2 albums in particular. Um, you know, and it's just trying to get back to where you were when you were younger, and that's kind of why we're not going through the motions. I don't think we ever will. As soon as we do, that's when it's going to be over.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. That's like the sign when it's like when you don't feel it, everyone else is going to know that and like they're going to respond accordingly.
Yeah, I could totally see that, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I see that with certain bands that I used to love, and then like, these motherfuckers put out another album, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, this is like all like just recycled, like completely devoid of emotion, you
yeah,
know.
paint by numbers, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I did an episode a week ago about the 90s Black Sabbath, you know.
I got a list to that. Because that's a Tony Martin. The only times I've seen Black Sabbath was with Tony Martin. It was just
Really?
weird, man. Yeah, I saw them in with Tiamat. I went to see
Oh, wow.
Tiamat in '93. Was it '94? Tiamat, Sabbath, and Motorhead at Roseland. And then a few years later, basically the same show, Motorhead, Sabbath at Roseland, Tony Martin, both shows. And then I saw Ozzy in like PNC Art Center in like 2012 or something, just to go see it. I saw the original lineup or whatever. But yeah, I got to check that episode out because that's a hot button. The Tony Martin stuff.
Yeah. I was actually at that PNC show in 2012.
Oh,
It's
okay,
funny.
yeah.
It's funny. I just the reason why I know the date
Because it's
is because
yesterday or something, or 2 days ago, wasn't it?
because my God, something came up on my Facebook feed. because me and Mike
Right.
Scandato went to that show. Who I
Okay.
do, yeah, from Inhuman, and I do Necromaniacs with them. So it
Yeah.
popped up in my memories, and I
Yep.
was of me and Mike like in the parking lot, and I'm like, oh shit! So I like reposted that, and that's why I know that I was at that show too. So yeah, but that using that as an example, revisiting that Sabbath stuff, I like it more now than I did at the time, especially Headless Cross.
Mm.
But you can tell it's like a dude who really is kind of over it. You know what I'm saying? Like when he's making those records, he's like chained to that name Black Sabbath,
Right.
you know,
That's why
and
he
he's
wanted
like,
a 7 star, right? He wanted a that was going to be his solo album, wasn't it?
yeah, exactly, man. And that's the point of trying to make. You can hear the exhaustion in those records. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean. Like you guys have had like a, over 25 years of a career, yet you guys do not sound exhausted. It sounds like, it's still inspired. It's still, there's still inspiration. There's still a lot of emotion in the material, and you feel it, and it's a totally enjoyable experience, listening to the new record.
Well, that's awesome, man. Thank you for saying that. And with this band in particular, like you said, you would know, right? So in the emotional side of things, if you phone it in, it's not gonna be good immediately. So
Yeah.
why waste my time? Why waste anybody's time? And there's ups and downs. There's a lot more downs than ups, and you just try to get through them and hope that something good happens and you can take off from there. I love the opportunity Profound Lore gave us by putting this record out. It's one of my favorite labels, and to get that chance made me extremely over the moon. So we want to do good by them. I want to do well for them. And sometimes when you don't see tour offers or show offers coming in, it's kind of like, what are we doing wrong? What am I doing wrong here?
Are you guys working with it? You're working with an agent now too, right? You have a booking?
No, we don't. Reeking Aura does. So Gray Skies, like it's again, we got guys. I'm the only one that doesn't have kids. So that definitely puts things, makes things a little more difficult, but we can do things. Like it's not like we can do a week here and there. We can do weekends. We can do one-off fests. It's not like, I understand most bands that get these opportunities to play MDF or play what's that fest in Atlanta, geez, I'm losing my mind right now, but they're out there on the road all the time, you know so I understand that we're not doing that, so that might hinder us a little bit. And I've always wrestled with that, like, it was more of a studio band, I guess, just because of the situation. But throwing it out there, like, if someone says, can you guys, go away for a week and do, we can make things happen, if so, we're just ready to go. Our live show is pretty good too.
Yeah, no, definitely it is. Yeah. Pretty much from the get-go, like going back to the earlier records, like you guys definitely had like an identity with what you wanted to do musically. Like if you go back and listen to the earlier material. Um, but it doesn't quite fit neatly in that like funeral doom, death doom. There's that, but I also hear like just like hard rock like influences. You know what I mean?
Well, man, not to bring up Twisted Sister, but after after
I knew it.
listening
I
to
knew
the,
it.
but they growing up in New York, you hear about Twisted Sister all the time. So they weren't good band. Like I liked them. Growing up, my first record was Quiet Riot, Metal Health. So when that came out, Twisted Sister was late 83, 84. They were big in New York. They were a big club band, and I don't know how I got here, but Def Leppard was more my hard rock kind of like metal, kind of like, I'm a Def Leppard guy. All of us in the band, really. So we always say, "Oh, this is the Def Leppard part," or
Yeah.
So, uh, but
Which
yeah,
which
totally.
which Leopard records though? Like,
The Steve Clark
okay.
ones, pre-pyro. Actually, I fuck with Hysteria, man. People talk shit, man.
Yeah.
I'll fuck with that record. That album's
Dude,
awesome. That
the
album's awesome.
track, the track Hysteria
Yeah, I
is
listen to
sick.
so much that
Yeah,
song.
that track is sick.
I
My
listen to that so
favorite,
much.
my favorite Leopard record though is High and Dry though, because that's the
Yeah.
most like that's
Well,
like some straight like AC/DC, you know.
if we ever I want to do a covers EP or a record, and Switch 625 is going to be covered. So we're going to do that one from that album. And that was the instrumentals. I'm not going to, and maybe bringing on the Heartbreak right after it, but that would be
Oh yeah,
interesting.
man.
Yeah.
But that rock influence is like definitely present though, even from the get-go back in the 90s, which was not necessarily something people were doing at that period. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Mm-hmm.
metal went through a very interesting period in the 90s where it went super underground. A lot of grind stuff was big. Black metal was starting to hit big in the United States. Um, but like hard rock was not necessarily an influence that was front and center, but you guys were doing that, and it was in a way a little bit ahead of its time in some ways. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, I'm a Maiden guy, so like I grew up listening to melodic stuff. Like that
Yeah,
was always more my lane. Like I like death metal growing up and stuff like
right.
that, but I always like the melodic stuff a bit more. And I think that translates more to kind of what you're saying into how the music comes out. There's always going to be that people say, "Oh, this is the part where Rick's on the mountain, playing guitar, like the solo with his hair blow. Like if I had long hair, like it was hair blowing in the wind, guitar solo. Like they make fun of me about shit like that." So, yeah, I try to kind of we channel that arena rock sometimes too.
But I would even say, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm a big admirer of Alice in Chains. Like I even
Yeah,
hear like a little bit of that Lane Staley, sort of thing in there. Soundgarden, like,
I'll
you
take
know,
that.
yeah, dude. All right, cool. I didn't want to like
Believe me,
some,
I'll take
you know
that.
what I'm saying? Like some people are
Sure,
funny
these are
like that,
legends.
Yeah, because
No,
it's like, yeah, because it's one thing to be like, yeah, I like those bands. And then it's another thing to feel the influence in the music because not for nothing, like that style of vocals is a little bit more difficult to pull off than just like, screaming and doing
yeah.
extreme vocals.
When this band started, Typo was probably, I'd say, a big influence too, because
Yeah.
I must have seen Typo. I probably saw Typo more live than I ever saw any other band. So at that time, 94, 93 to like 97. And that was when our bands, basically coming starting and stuff. So Typo, and they also had that rock kind of sound in certain ways, with the leads and the melodies they would do. And even though
Yeah.
that shit was doom as fuck, they would still throw that in there. And another good influence on the band too, Typo.
Did you guys ever listen to like any of the other kind of European stuff like My Dying Bride and like,
Huh. Well, My Dying Bride was the band that it was the reason why we started this band.
oh,
Basically,
okay.
the Angel in the Dark River,
Yeah.
and that came out September 95. And I was really into Turn Loose the Swans. I was really
Yeah.
into the first EP and the first album, it's The Flower Withers. I was a My Dying Bride freak. And that album, when that one came out, it was all clean vocals and it was very controversial. A lot of people didn't like that, but it hit me really good, that record. And that's my favorite. It's in my top three favorite metal records of all time, Angel in the Dark River. And I was lucky enough to see them in 97 when they played in New York, with the original lineup. It's the only time they ever played in New York. Anyway, so love My Dying Bride, big into the big Peaceville 3, Paradise Lost, and of course Anathema. Always supported those dudes. And so yeah, that those bands were very influential when we first started the band. And then I heard Opeth like around 97, and then things started shifting a little bit, and I was like, oh man, where are these fucking dudes? And so yeah, those were my two big metal bands of the late 90s, I would say. My Dying Bride, Opeth.
Yeah. Opeth, actually their newer shit is a little bit even more different. Like there's
Oh
more,
yeah.
there's like extreme vocals, like in the last Opeth song I heard.
Yeah, he brought them back,
Yeah.
and people lost their minds. People lost their minds over it. So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
The guy knows what he's doing. I really like that song, so I think the new record's going to be awesome. So we got
So
tickets for them in November. Yep.
out there on YouTube, there's a video that gives us a viewport into the making of Two Way Mirror.
That's been up on YouTube since 2006 or something like that. It's one of the original. It's like very early YouTube video. Craig put it up there. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That was if anyone ever wants to know what it's like to be in a band making a record, that pretty much covers all the bases.
I like that you saw that, man. That's
Yeah.
it's a hidden gem.
The little skirmishes, like in the studio, the
Yeah,
arguments, like
yeah.
one guy calling the other guy an asshole. Like that happens, man. That's like as real as it gets.
We had a major fight. It's in the video over a 1 second a 1 second tempo, 1 beat per minute tempo change. So it's that minute. And that album is the oddball album. That's the one that a little more clean. I don't know if you're familiar with that record. It's definitely the least heavy album, but and I don't think it sounds amazing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and not re-record the whole album, but I'm gonna redo all the guitars and all the vocals and remix and have Swano mix it and master it. So it's gonna be a new look at that record, which I think is a good record, but kind of some people might not like it because it's not the heaviest album. I was big into Radiohead at the time, and
Dude,
shit. Not like it sounds like Radiohead, but like that's where I was. Like I was in the different, and that album is kind of reflective of definitely got more rock kind of elements to it.
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of why I segued into that after talking about rock music. It's like that one is like not like it's like definitely like a departure. It felt like there was
Yeah,
like a decision to do something with a different vibe to it, and it stands out as like a unique record. And I think
totally.
it's
Thank you.
it's interesting that you guys are going to revisit the material later. What that came out, that was what, like 2007 or
Six,
2006? Yeah.
six recorded in '05. Yep.
Yeah.
So
So it's all these years later, over a decade later, almost 2 decades later,
yeah,
and you're going to be revisiting the material. So you're happy with the actual songwriting. It's just the production wasn't really.
production, vocals, I think could be better, and the guitars, the heavy guitars that we do have on there didn't come out good. We were kind of cutting corners at that point. I remember specifically our bass player at the time wanted to mix it himself, and is what it is. He did a good job for what in 2005 home recording system, all that. But I listened to it recently, and I'm like, wow, the songs are good. Now, unfortunately, the last song on the record is called "Carry On." It's definitely like a proggy kind of song, and we recorded that at Big Blue Meanie
Oh
Studios in
yeah, man.
2002. That was going to
Yeah.
be a demo, and we threw it on Two Way Mirror. So that song is not from the original Two Way Mirror sessions. So while we were up there this couple weeks ago recording the two new Gray Sky songs, the remakes, we recorded the drums for Carry On. So when the new Two Way Mirror comes out, it'll have Carry On will be re-recorded top to bottom with the new band, and all the other songs will have new guitars and new vocals and remixed by Dan Swano. So it's going to be a very new, a new thing. It's going to sound like a new record, even though we're keeping the keys and the drums. I wanted to keep something. I didn't want to redo the whole thing. I still don't like that. I don't like when bands redo their whole records, even though I'm kind of doing that now, but just trying to keep things like keep Craig's keyboards original, keep the drums original, because it's just my stuff I'm not happy with.
I see that you got a keyboard in the back there. Do you play around with keyboards too? Like on these
That's
demos or anything?
yeah, that's just a controller, but yeah,
It's like a little interface.
yeah, a little interface that I will. During COVID, I started taking lessons, on some computer program, and it didn't stick, but I was enjoying it. And at one point, I just hit a wall. I was like, and I just put it back. But I should have, like, I played piano when I was a kid, so that's how I got my initial introduction to music. So it was I kind of jumped back into it, but hit a wall. Maybe I'll get back to it again. But on the next album, like the last two records haven't really had keyboards on it. Colin played a little bit. just a little part. Me and Joe might do some things on the next one with the keys. We'll see.
It's like once you open that door, man, because I like have the same kind of fascination with synthesizers. It's like I know I will never consider myself like a synth player or any
Right.
bullshit like that. But like, I guess like I mentioned, we're working on demos and like almost all the songs have like synth in them now because
That's
I
sick.
can't stop fucking around with it,
Love that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, man. So when we play live, sometimes our old songs that have keys in them, we got a like Athena, the one we're recording. Can't I don't think we can play that ever without a keyboard. So we had Craig come up when we played Vitus a couple years ago, and he guested and played that song, played a couple of songs with us. So we could do things like that in the future, like locally. We could have Craig come up and play some keyboards, and but it does have a little effect on our old material sometimes when you don't have those keys there. But it's all right.
Yeah. So Reek has got some stuff coming up. Like you guys are playing Jersey Death Fest tomorrow. Um, is that Jersey or New York Death Fest?
New York Death
New
Fest.
York Death Fest. Yeah, yeah. Because the Jersey one was the one that Gutter did out at
I think that was that at Dingbats or was
Dingbats. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we were supposed to play that and
Yeah, that's
unfortunately
what I was saying. 'Cause we
dropped.
played I think the Saturday, and I saw that Reeking Aura was listed as playing, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we played on the same bill, but then I saw that you guys weren't on the bill anymore.
Yeah, we it fell apart a little bit, but we've in that band we've had some lineup changes and we're regrouping, so it's been a little trying but nothing that we can't overcome. So tomorrow's our first show in 9 months, and we're going to be playing 3 new songs in addition to a couple old songs. And we do have a couple shows in New York, actually in New Jersey and New York, just to get our feet wet again because it's been
Yeah,
a while, and get the new lineup out there. But as soon as those shows are over, and we're demoing. All right, long story short, we're writing the record, but we're demoing 2 songs now. We're in the middle of it, and we're gonna probably do some with those 2 songs in between records. So we'll
yeah,
so you don't have to wait another year to hear new stuff.
yeah. I think Will mentioned something like that too about like how there's
Right.
there's like a single or something in the works.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 2 songer, 2 song ripper, and hopefully that'll come out in a couple months, and that'll be the introduction to the new stuff and those songs I look at them as demos that are going to get put out, and then we'll take those songs if we and re-record them for the record, or maybe those are just demo songs. We don't know yet. We got to see how things evolve, but we're halfway done with the record, writing, and we're real happy with how it's coming out.
Yeah, I can
Definitely different.
relate. I can relate to that, man. Because like I know that it's like sometimes you had plans to release a record this year, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, let's just get this done, man. But it's like it really is better to take your time and make sure it's like it turns out the way you want. Like you don't want to rush through it. You know what I mean?
We had Colin's studio booked for March, and
Yeah.
we had that booked since last October. So we were like, okay, we're going to record a record number 2 in March, and then we had our situation happen, and then we could have done it right. We could have just
Yeah.
said everybody suck it up and do this, but like we're talking about earlier, it's definitely going to show, man. It'll
Yeah.
definitely show in the final product. um and we said we gotta do the decision. We got to make the decision no one wants to make. We got to push it off, and that was Colin's studio close after that. So we
Yeah.
missed that opportunity. So it causes things to happen. But like I say, you just keep adapting to things as they come, just like real life. Something happens in your life, you can figure out how to navigate and move on.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I feel having gone through a similar situation with feeling pressure to put something out and record it when it wasn't quite ready. I think that the approach that you're taking with like taking a step back, it's definitely the best as far as the legacy of the band goes. You know what I mean? Because like right now, all the Reeking stuff is sick and it's like awesome. And then it would suck to be like, oh, we really weren't ready to record and we just pushed this out. And it's too important to like have some factor like that really, really influence your decision making. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It would have not been good, and you look back in 10 years and you'll see a stinker on your resume. You'll see oh, that one wasn't good, or
Yeah.
so you
And
don't want that. And
you,
yeah,
you can't take it back either. Once it's out, it's out. And people, some people will like it, but you won't, you will feel like it wasn't as
you'll know
good.
right away. Like I hear songs and I know like a note is a little off 20 something years, it drives me crazy. So I can imagine like if a whole record is off, or you mail it in. But yeah, sometimes you just got to make tough decisions, and you look at it like, okay, it's only going to be, it's only a year or only 9 months or whatever. But bands take, 4 sometimes 4 years in between records. Not like I want to do that. We do that with Gray Skies. That's bad enough. But like 2 years is good. 2 to 3 years is good for a record. I like to be on a every 2 year rotation with Reek. That would be awesome. And this, if when this comes out, it'll be 2025, so it'll be 3 years. But you can't worry about things like that. You just let things happen. And we've gone through a lot of, if you look at the original lineup, there were six of us, and then we made a drummer change after the demo, and we had a new drummer for the album, Sam Sherrick, who was awesome. And you know, once Sam can't do it anymore, we have to get another drummer. So we got Hudson, and then from the time where we had six, now we have five, and from the original six that were on the first record, there's going to be three on the second record. And some people could look at that and worry, but I'm not worried. So, and I think tomorrow, we're going to be putting our best foot forward, and I want to steal the show. you know I want to steal the show tomorrow, and we go on a little early. We go on 3:30, and but it's going to be a good day. We're going third. It should be a packed house. I would think people paying a lot of money to go there, and they're not going to want to miss. Oh, I'm going to go skip the first three bands. Just what I think is going to be good, and,
Yeah.
and we're looking forward to making our mark again tomorrow.
Well, with Will as a front man, that dude is like, you can't,
It's
I would never want to play after Will, man, honestly.
yeah,
I'm
well,
serious, man. That
no,
guy,
I
that
hear
guy is
you.
like, yeah, he's a one of a kind
I wouldn't
front
want to be
man.
the front man after that comes on after Will. So we're very lucky. I'm lucky to be in two bands with him. He lets me sit back and just play guitar, which is something that I like to do. Doing the vocals and stuff, playing guitar and vocals and Gray Skies, it's cool and stuff. But sometimes it's also good just to chill and concentrate on my playing, because sometimes
Yeah,
I don't get to do that when I'm singing and playing at the
sure.
same time. So yeah, Will's the man, and tomorrow we're gonna debut the three new songs and his vocals are gonna continue to impress.
That's awesome. So as far as like where people can find, follow the band and like, you guys are, I know obviously everyone goes to Bandcamp and all that sort of stuff, but like, ordering records and all that, like where can people check both of these bands out online?
You pretty much hit the nail on the head. The band camps for both of the bands have all the merch. That's the best spot to get that. All the social medias, we're on everything. Both bands are on everything. Even Buckshot's on everything, I think. So we're easy to be contacted. Facebook, Instagram, even Twitter, which I don't. That's a whole other thing, but I don't really use that too much these days. And just social media, I have a love-hate relationship with it. So, but yeah, find us on there. Sorry.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But yeah, I appreciate that, Rick. And yeah, I would be at the show tomorrow, but I gotta go to a wedding tomorrow. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
because I was looking at the, I'm like, oh, what's going on this summer, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh fuck. I was like, yeah, the 10th, man, is like my girl's one of her besties is getting married. So it's out
Yeah.
way out. And I'm like, can I make it? Like, because the wedding's in the afternoon, right? But it's like way out in like Sparta, New Jersey, which is
Oh,
like kind of
Yeah,
almost closer to where you live. Almost,
I
I
pass
imagine.
by there when I go there tomorrow. I'm going to be passing through Sparta on Route 15. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, say wave to us.
Yeah.
All right, man.
We may pass by each other on there.
Yeah. But good luck tomorrow, and I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open for the CP and the single that you guys are working on.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, both bands will have quick little EPs out. I would say by the fall. So look out for that. And thank you, man, for having us. And let's get that Evoking Tombs Gray Skies show going. This we could do something sick.
Dude, maybe some kind of Halloween thing might be cool.
Yeah, that's I love Halloween shows. That's my anniversary. But
yeah,
I'm
dude.
always down
Really?
to, yeah, we got a
That's awesome,
Halloween,
man.
yeah.
Hell yeah, that's
2009.
Killer. Yeah,
watched the Yankees game on the World Series. The last time they were in the World Series, we watched it during the reception. It was pretty sick.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully by then I'm looking to be done with recording our new album, and we'll be able to, like, it's been that's why I'm saying I can relate to the trials that you guys have been going through with, like, writing and making a record and all that. It's like not like there's been any internal problems, but it's like more of like it's taking a long time to make this record.
Creativity, man. It's not like a guarantee, right?
Yeah,
like things might not come together so fast all the time, and that's fine, man. That's fine.
Dude.
Like, I know Evoking's also working on a new record. Also, that's why you haven't been playing live too much. So yeah, all things come to those who wait.
And we were talking about, like, being younger, and, like, back when, if we were in a scenario like in the beginning of the band, we were practicing like 4 or 5 days a week, like, then it's like, yeah, well, first hour of practice, we'll work on a new material. Then we'll run the set like 16 times, and do that every day and then next thing you know, you have 2 albums written, but it just, with things are a little slower now, man. It's just, and I should show you my computer with all the deleted songs that I have of, like, ideas of, like, that just went nowhere, and
that
riffs and complete songs that just got scrapped. I didn't delete them, but they're there. But they're just not what I want.
I got the same thing, man. I gotta compile them into one folder. I've got folders and folders from different computers over the years of riffs and songs that we had never used, and some of them, like, on the last 2 albums, there has been stuff. Let me think. One of the songs on the new album, it's escaping my mind with some days, but there's riffs in there from 2004. There's riffs on another album from 98. I'll find things that, oh shit, and you just thank God you have this stuff still, and you can use it if you need.
Well, that's what I'm hoping to do, is like maybe a year from now, revisit some of this shit and be like, oh yeah, there's like that one section that I can make into something, and the rest of the song is completely shot.
Yeah, if you could salvage a section, you can spawn a whole new song just from that.
Yeah.
Done that.
Well, once again, Rick, thank you very much, and good luck with everything, man. We'll be in touch about all this stuff. All right, brother. Take care, man.
I'll see you soon.
You got it.
Feel the walls of silence.